Welcome to In Doug's Garden, brought to you by the Davey Tree Expert Company. And people ask me, what's it like when you live in a forest and there's a big storm? Terrifying is what it is. This was a short burst that came through and we lost lots of trees, but thank goodness, no damage to any buildings. Everybody's okay, but lots of trees down, and right behind you is the pool. And so this would have fell that way, we would have had to get a new pool. And my wife was always complaining about this tree dropping stuff into the pool. But it's sad to see a tree of this age gone, because it's gone. That's it. That's the end of it. But that's part of gardening. Plants die, things change. Nothing will be planted in its place because the pool is behind here, unless maybe a short shrub would be nice. We'll have to think about that. But let me show you one more tree that luckily was unscathed. Well, I was so glad that this tree was not affected. I tell people not to do this, to plant a tree in memory of somebody, but I planted this American hornbeam. Actually, when I was planting this American hornbeam, my wife said, why don't you plant this in memory of your brother who passed away years ago? And that's what I did. And so I was most concerned, and when you do plant a tree in memory of someone, that's the first thing you look at. But tree is unscathed, and as I'm losing trees through the forest, and I lost probably 1, 2, 3 big oaks back there, I'm planting other things for more diversity in the forest, and most of them are natives, and American hornbeam is a native. It's often called musclewood because of the way the bark looks, especially as it gets older. This tree is indestructible unless a bigger tree would fall on it. I am so happy to see that it's still here. Luckily, no damage in the garden. I would hate to lose this cheesy looking half a windmill that's missing its windmill. Right now, we've got hops growing up it, but I'm going to plant some pole beans here. This pole bean is something I've been growing for over 30 years. It is a great heirloom called Cherokee Trail of Tears pole bean. And the story is the Cherokee were evicted from the East Coast, went on this death march to Oklahoma in the 1800s and kept this bean with them and shared it. I did a story back in the 1980s for a paper called the Medina County Gazette, and I met a guy who has since passed that taught me all about heirlooms and taught me about this bean, and I love the bean for its unique nutty flavor. You can find the seeds online. So let's do some planting. The first thing, what is it? We're adding compost, so let's get to work. I'll just put it all around here. Might need another bag. Yeah, I think I'll get one more bag. Now the fun part's the planting. These are beautiful black seeds. This can be a fresh bean or a dried bean too. And we're just gonna sprinkle them in here. Anybody can do this. And then we'll cover them. When you put something like this in good compost, they are going to go crazy. Let me plant the other side, then I'm gonna put some straw on here to mulch and water, and then we'll be good. Mulch is so important. Keeps the soil evenly moist, especially for seeds that are sprouting. Like I said, I'll get some water on here next. And the beans will sprout right through a thin layer of straw like this. And keep the weeds down too. All right, next up, we are going to visit one of the most amazing projects with some of the most beautiful flowering trees you've ever seen. Tell me about the project, when it began, and what its purpose is.
Well, it began around 2007 officially, but before then we had one of our current members who was the founder. He's a Japanese gentleman and had lived in the United States for a long time and wanted to give back in gratitude, and he decided it would be good to have cherry blossoms like the Japanese style. He tried a few at his house and they grew. So then it went through the Japanese Association of Greater Pittsburgh. They got the idea rolling. And then it became its own thing, and working the Pittsburgh Sakura Project together with the landscape architect firm of Carrie Arimoto and Rick Mercer, together with the parks. And the three entities have started planting Japanese cherry groves since then. So it's almost 20 years, and you can see they're starting to come to fruition. We had younger ones and older ones. And you asked about the purpose. Well, they are a great tradition in Japan, and it's the beauty of the spring and the fleetingness of beauty. And people all come out and celebrate them with their families, and we want the same thing to happen here for all Pittsburghers.
And being in the park, it is happening, right? I mean, people are stopping, they're shooting selfies, they're shooting pictures. Tell me a little bit about how that feels.
Well, our architect herself, she said, you know, I think we'll have succeeded when we see people picnicking under the trees. And that started, and the wedding photographers have discovered it, and so that's very nice.
That's actually the other thing I saw when I was here earlier. I saw a professional photographer shooting models around the trees.
Yeah, so it's gradually being discovered. And we want to say also, you know, Washington, D.C. is great, but we have our own in Pittsburgh. And we can look across the lake, see them on either side of the lake. Maybe that's an egret I see too. So it's just, it's Japanese, but it's for all the world now. It's for Pittsburgh. And we also, one time we had a festival here, and there was somebody from, I think, Afghanistan. He was a refugee, and he was happy. He said, you know, we celebrate cherry trees in Afghanistan, so it should be for all of Pittsburgh from everywhere to come together and enjoy the spring and the beauty.
What is it about cherry trees? Because there is something special about them when they bloom this time of the year.
Well, they just bloom en masse, and if you look up through them, it's like there's nothing but pink clouds. And then when they start to fall, the blossoms fall like snow, and you can have them all over the ground in all the stages of beauty. They have their own special thing. So
the trees are all around the park, right?
Yeah, they're planted in groves all around the park, so they're not randomly planted. Our landscape architects, talking with the parks people each year, decided where a grove would go, and then we put them in. So we have groves up the hill, across the lake, around the lake, and in fact all the way down to the end of this road, and also across and next to the boathouse. So they're around, they're all over.
What do you hope visitors get out of their time with the cherry trees?
I hope they get a chance to step aside from all the ugliness and hatred and just look at nature and see how beautiful it is, and something we can share in all cultures all over the world.
And tell me, for you, when you drive through North Park or stop and walk the dog, what do you get out of seeing these? I mean, these are really big, beautiful trees.
Yeah. I'm just so happy. I mean, I spent my childhood in Japan, and I remember them as a vivid part of my childhood. Everybody goes out in the parks, and the sky is just clouds of just pink, and now we have it here. And we don't have to go to Washington, D.C. We can go if you want, but we have our own.
What's next for the project?
Well, we still, we planted almost 300 trees, but we've lost some percentage.
Sure.
And so we replaced them. I don't think there's much more grove expansion that's going to happen, but we have another planting in November, about 10 trees. Each year we plant a few trees. We operate entirely on donations, so that's part of what determines how many trees. And then there's maintenance all year round that we do that too.
So you could actually get a memorial tree in here, right?
You could. You can, people can purchase a tree in honor of their person they want to memorialize, and then we will plant it. The park and the landscape architects determine where it's to be planted, but you can have a ceremony and remember it, and it belongs to the park, so you can't label it, but we have a lot of memorial trees.
You have a couple in here, right?
I do. I have one for my aunt that I bought for my aunt, who was born in Kyoto, Japan. I have one for my father, and my brother was born in Tokyo, Japan, and for my father, who spent most of his life working in Japanese-American relations. So it's very personal. You can purchase the tree, be there at the planting, come and visit it, remember it, and watch it grow and thrive and give beauty.
What does it mean for you when they bloom, those special trees?
It's a special connection with the people that I know they would love it, and it's giving life back, life and beauty back in their name. Yeah.
My name is Mary. I have a hydrangea in the corner of my yard, and I'm wondering about the care of it.
Well, Mary, the number one gardening question is, why doesn't my hydrangea bloom? So first off, improper pruning. Hopefully you have not cut that hydrangea, because there's only a couple varieties that you can prune. The buds are put on right after it's done blooming, and so if we prune, we're removing the buds. So hopefully that has not happened. Sometimes during the winter, we'll get bud freeze, where it'll warm up, the buds will swell, and then they'll freeze out. So hopefully that hasn't happened. As long as those two things have not happened, the only thing we can do with that hydrangea is fertilize, and I would use something like flower tone or bulb tone. They're both organic, and they're formulated to make that plant flower. You should grow this, really. If you're looking for a shrub that's deer resistant and basically bulletproof, look at viburnums. There are a slew of different cultivars. I've got them growing in the woods. I've got them growing here with a little bit more sun. They can take all sorts of different lighting conditions, but part shade is perfect for them. They're a spring bloomer, and lots of different types. Like this one has beautiful, shiny foliage. Some are incredibly fragrant. You've got tall, you've got small. It's just a great overall shrub. Now it's time for Talking Trees from the Davey Tree Expert Company. I'm joined again by Rob Kruljac. He's an assistant district manager for the Davey Tree Expert Company in the Pittsburgh North office. And today we're talking about my beloved flowering crabapple. I look out this window for the last, 20 some years to see it bloom, but when we get to the end of the season, the leaves are gone.
That's apple scab, Doug. It's a leaf disease, a fungal leaf disease that will defoliate the tree, especially in the summer months. And by the end of the summer, it's leafless and looks pretty sad.
In general, for fungal diseases, are we treating them now? Is that the idea, so that they don't get going?
Yes, we want to treat them early in the spring. The window is rapidly closing on it, but as soon as the buds start swelling, that's when we get the products on there to protect them.
Already too late for the flowering crab?
For this year,
okay,
yes.
All right, we'll have to remember for next year. But how about, would fertilization help? I mean, I want this tree to survive, and it's been doing this for years, where every few years it drops its leaves, but then comes back fine. It's blooming like crazy this year.
Right. Fertilization will help the tree just have its own natural defenses against the disease, but doing some cleaning up of the leaves as they come down, because the spores will just regenerate up into the tree itself.
Oh, so, did you bring a rake?
I did not.
I've got one right over here.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, all right. What about other fungal issues around the landscape?
Yeah, you could be looking for apple scab on your crab apples. Fire blight is one that we usually see on pears.
And that's a serious one, right?
It is, yeah. That really stresses a tree out. There'll be, the new growth on the ends of the branches will be completely black and dead. And you don't want to go pruning it, because you can just spread it throughout the tree. It really needs treated again early spring.
To figure this out, you get a certified arborist to come take a look. Yep. You're not going to know what fire blight is or what apple scab is unless you have an expert look at it.
Absolutely. And we can come out to the property even before the leaves are out and tell you which plants and trees are susceptible to different things, and then decide whether we want to pre-treat them if it's been a problem in the past, or start that program for something new.
Now, years ago, this tree was hit by a pine tree that fell on it, and looking behind you, things are not looking too good here. What do you think? What should I be doing?
Not much you can do to stop that decay that's forming there, Doug. Besides keeping it open to the air, dry. You don't want to put any tar or any paint on it. Just let the wood, stay out of the environment, or out of the weather as much as possible in that regard. But it'll be a problem. It will continue to die back and maybe decline. So we might have to remove those sections at some point.
But for now, I mean, it's still blooming.
Yeah, right. The vascular tissue is still working in the tree, so you're going to have your blooms and your leaves.
But I know one thing for sure, this deadwood's got to go.
Yeah, we could probably take care of that today.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
For more information about everything we talked about today, including the Sakura Project, go to Doug'sGarden.com and do me a big favor. Like, comment, or subscribe. It really helps the channel. Until next week, keep planting, and we'll see you then.